Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, but there's also a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin, Ranty and Sleeping Warrior. How are you all doing?
Doing fantastical.
Yeah,
Awesome.
doing good.
You guys got the back door ready for the trolls?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I'm doing a new picture.
That sounds like Descent.
Yeah.
Get the back door open, peon.
No.
Ooh.
So just to summarise what we got through on the last show, Globies don't have a model. So we're always being told no flat Earth if you've got no model. Well, no globe Earth if you've got no model, by your own standards. Not that I buy these standards. Models are pseudoscience. They don't prove anything. It's what you need if you've got a limitation on your scientific hypothesis is a model. In other words, you haven't got any science. So yeah, that's all models are really useful for. But some people seem to think that without a flat Earth model, a fantasy story to go in place of their current fantasy story, that means that flat Earth isn't real. Well, no. The Earth is obviously and observably flat, but by your own standards, you would need a model of your own, and you don't have one. The last one, the refraction ignoring broken proof of nothing presuppositional curve calculator, that model, the standard Earth model, that's busted, broken, smashed, doesn't work. And in its wake of being broken has left quite a lot of globers with egg on their face as they've made assertions using viewing functionality, i.e. photography, to compare and contrast to those calculations. Totally fallacious, totally incorrect. And yeah, we need some retractions and some omissions of error because there have definitely been some. So you don't have a model. That's a big problem for people going around telling flat earthers that they haven't got a model because there's no globe model.
Yep. Big shout out to Steve McRae, who believes that the Challenger disaster was real. Kicks people for questioning whether it's true or not. Auto believer. Shout out to Steve McRae.
Is he actually in the chat?
No, but if anybody can pass him on a message saying that we were giving him our condolences for his death of his reputation, then that'd be great. And if you want to come on, Steve McRae, and we can discuss why you were rebellious against Russian vids for questioning the official story, that would be great. I'd love to talk to you about that.
Does Steve ever go on anyone's shows? Because I've been on loads of people's shows. I've debated here, there, and everywhere on various different people's shows, known and unknown. Whereas I don't ever remember seeing Steve anywhere ever.
No, he sucks Reds off, so therefore Reds lets him on his panel.
Hey, Addy,
and whilst he's
can you hear us?
Comfort zone of Reds,
hello,
he'll
Addy.
pretend that he's this neutral person. He's not.
Hey, Ranty, I got the solution for your picture.
He says he can't take someone that looks like a young Billy Connolly seriously.
Go ahead.
Nathan, if you will present me, I got the solution to Ranty's picture problem.
I was hoping we'd get a baller in that could easily show us exactly what's going on.
Hey, Plain Truth.
Honk.
Prismatic fractal looming chameleon. Love it.
What happened to Addy Prince? Was he removed?
I waited for ages, asked him to say hello. I sort of couldn't get it to work on my one mouse to eject him. Said hello again, and then he didn't say hello. Just stayed on mute, so I ejected him.
Fair enough. Jay Farrow.
Hey, Jay. Can you hear us? You're on mute, my friend.
3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Boom.
You need to say hello. So if you do join, just if you are on mute automatically for whatever reason, if that's the way your Hangouts is set up, just come off mute and just say hello. Hey, Alan.
Never fear, Alan's here.
Like that.
Yeah, but
Perfect.
your ice cream.
He's not
Alan's
turned up
here.
today, Tony.
Oh,
Word. He lacks discipline, this ice cream man.
so he's not within 5 minutes either way, so he's gone.
Yeah, he's pretty quick. Not many people go out these days, do they?
I don't get an ice cream man anywhere near my house. If I do, I never hear him. I feel deprived.
It's conspiracy.
Yeah, I think Alan's been diverting him. He's put road signs up saying, divert around Riley's house.
They don't exist. I just come on to lie about them.
Yeah. Do you know my brother tells his daughter, the ice cream man has got no ice cream left if you hear his siren? And then she says to him, well, why are they all queuing up then if he's got no ice cream?
He's clever.
She's going to end up being a conspiratard as well. So what do you think about the Challenger thing, Alan? Do you think that that might not be true, or do you think that it's definitely true?
Well, you can
Hey, Bruno.
search for the
Yeah.
death certificates on Ancestry.
Hey, Bruno.
Can you...
Sorry,
You
Alan.
show that yourself.
No, you can do it.
Oh, come on. No, you come on with the answer.
Well, you can do it.
No.
What?
You could do it. You've just said it's easy to do.
Yeah, you said you can do it. You made
Do
the
what?
surgeon,
Sorry, I
right?
missed that. I'm confused now. What's going on? Do what?
Alan thinks that you can find the death certificates of the Challenger disaster crew.
So what?
Yeah, that's my view on it as well. But it would be good to see some death.
I just wanted to.
I would prefer to actually get. I'd rather see some birth certificate of all of their twins.
Yes, they're there as well.
Really?
Wouldn't be
there
surprising.
as well. That's another assertion, Alan. You're racking up the evidence against you here, dude.
Barack Obama had a passport too.
Yeah.
Now, you mean the birth
Michael Jackson's
certificate,
got
the
a
one
death
that was still layered with Photoshop?
Indeed.
Remember?
Oh, man.
Literally, the thing they presented
Times.
still had the layers within it.
Shout out to Cook's Rhetoric, last comment.
So just out of interest, Alan, do you know any ballers that have got a working sphere model? Because without a model, there's no sphere. According to others, that is, not me. People like Globers tell me that about Flat Earth all the time. They say, no Flat Earth, no, if you haven't got a model, you haven't got a Flat Earth. But you haven't got a globe model. So presumably you stand by that too, right? No globe model.
What?
You don't have a model of the globe.
We've got one in the corner.
No, that's a toy. Based on that model, tell me how much we should have obstructed in the images of Barrow that Granty showed. Based on your model, tell me how much should be obscured, Alan.
I'm waiting for Hillel to turn up.
You did not
Show
understand the question. So you said you'd got a model. Now I'm
Let's not
asking you,
do
based...
this.
Hold on, Alan. Just let me repeat the question. It's one of those where we all know from the last encounter
go,
that you're not sharp enough to actually listen. So try and listen. It might mean not talking while I speak. So, you asserted that you had a model, right? I'm saying you don't. So let's test how good your model is by you telling us precisely how much when you use your sphere, that's already a sphere, right? Begging the question. But let's just say you want to use your sphere to tell us how much of Barrow should be missing. The image is on screen now. Let's see how good your model is, Alan.
Where's the image? Can you tell me the maths for how perspective works?
Sorry, I'm asking you about your model. I already disclaimed I think models are pseudoscience, but pointed out that many a globehead retard has told me that without a model, the world isn't flat. So I'm now turning that around and saying because lots of globehead idiots have told me that without a model it's not flat, I'm saying without a globe model, it's not a globe by your standards. So where's this
fair,
model?
Alan, he has got a
Let's
point.
see how your model gets on then, Alan. Chop, chop.
What's his point, Tony? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, we know you're a bit slow and can't listen to anything. Yeah, we already appreciate that. I don't mind repeating it a few times. What I've asserted, Alan, is you don't have a globe model. You said you had, what we tend to do is take long-distance photography, and then you guys beg the question, presuppose the outcome, and tell us how much should be obscured. So I'm hoping you can do something similar now.
They need to work out the fractal looming first.
What's that, Arwin?
Don't give them more excuses.
Yeah, don't give them any help.
Fractal
Nathan,
loom.
I think it might benefit the show if we consider Alan to be like Switzerland, you know, like neutral, neither one nor the other. He doesn't ever seem to be pushing one or the other.
Yeah, he's a
No,
globe head.
definitely
Through and through
globe,
globe
but
head.
he just doesn't have any arguments.
Globe head.
Basic globe head.
He's not a real globehead, though, is he? Because real globeheads at least have something in their arsenal for evidence. He doesn't.
No,
I think
not
he
all
admits
of
he
them.
doesn't really have any.
No, not all of them.
I just asked
He's
him if
just
he had a
lonely.
model of the world,
joined
and he
the
told me
panel
he'd got
because
one in
he's
his
lonely.
corner. He's got a globe in his corner, and he thinks that's the world. You tell him he's not a globe head.
He comes across as more neutral than globehead.
He sat next to
No,
a
he's
globe, and he's just
just
told me
not.
that's his working model. He's yet to give us any sort of explanation for the image we obviously see is flat in front of us right now. It's been on screen a while. Hasn't given us anything from his model.
Yeah, you're right. Kill. Sorry, Alan.
Sorry, yeah, we're bad. We're talking over you, Alan. On you go. Tell us about the obstruction and stuff. Off you go.
I think he's in victim mode.
You see, it's silence like this that's just overwhelmingly loud and just glaring. When you guys did the show with Metabunk, I mean, I was like on the edge of my seat, waiting for a just nail in the coffin on Flat Earth, and when you guys just killed it, I just sat there thinking, "There's nothing left. There's nothing left to be done. This is the best they have, and it's just obvious. It's so insane. When he begged the question about R, and when he couldn't, I just sat there dumbfounded. I was like, I still am. It was just amazing.
Well, to be honest, they never actually got to finishing their explanation, which would obviously in the end turn out to be not an explanation at all, but because he was doing a rumpus, basically diverting off into other things that were not really related.
Right.
But
see,
I've never heard any explanation about it. Maybe there is one. I'd love to. I'm still waiting
right,
for
but we're
them to
waiting
make
for it.
their
Yeah,
video
right.
explaining it, and I haven't seen any so far. So
Yeah, but when you have the characters like Rumpus and everybody else who misdirect and bring up all of these side issues that aren't the issue, it just shows that there's no substance. It's glaringly obvious.
Did you see the show right after where we showed that the horizon at 10 miles away can't be 10 miles on their model when it was quoted to be 1.2 miles? Did you see that?
Yeah, the one with Taboo Conspiracy, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was amazing. As a matter of fact, I grew up in that area, and I sent that to my mom. I'm going out in July for 2 weeks, and I plan on doing some stuff on the California coast as much as I can.
I'll make a prediction. I'll make a prediction that your refraction on the day will just so happen to be the case that it makes it look flat, and it'll just be the extra perfect conditions that Rumpus would claim would be very unusual, but nonetheless exactly the same as before. Because I've known from my own previous experience that it's basically the same every time I go. It might be minusculely different, pixel here, pixel there, but ultimately it's the same shit, different day.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Even if we talk about the Chicago skyline, you know, the Chicago skyline is supposed to be what 1,600 feet behind the curve, but it wouldn't matter if it was 100 feet behind the curve, or 500 feet behind the curve, or 3,000 feet behind the curve. If it was 5,000 feet behind the curve, the refraction would have been just perfect. That it's now at a 90-degree angle and fully visible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. These people like listen to Rumpus as though he's some kind of oracle authority, and I listen to Rumpus and I just think more shit's coming out your mouth, Rumpus. The more you speak, the more it comes out.
that is just a rambling chipmunk.
About that Chicago skyline, that is absolutely proof of flat Earth. So that another thing that I've seen plenty of Globers, Paper Explanator, Negator X, Gem Panda, the list goes on and on. They've all gone through that piece of evidence like their calculator actually proves something. So that needs to be readdressed, you know, and people can just put that photo that Joshua Nowicki took up on a brand new video today and say, glaring proof of flat Earth, like a fly trap, and just wait for the Globies to come along and use their crappy, broken proof of nothing, begging the question. The list goes on. Perspective ignoring, proof of nothing calculator, and when they do, point out that it doesn't account for angular reduction at distance and is absolutely proof of nothing.
I'm still waiting until they finally get a new model that basically does the entire looming thing. Like, it is a whole new way of circling the square. They basically have to then create a globe model with visuals on it, the things on it, and then bend it all through this looming concept into a flat plane. And I wonder if they will eventually be able to do this. It's of course not, the way they will do it will be so convoluted and complex that it's never actually going to match any optical effects that can be proven. But I'm still interested to see if they will eventually manage it.
Well, you see the Joshua Nowicki image, like you've just said, Nathan, they've had the globetards all over that trying to disprove it, but we haven't had a single person or any globetard try and debunk this image.
Yeah, but not only do you try and debunk it, it's coming up with mathematical expressions to explain what we see doesn't prove causation. It just explains it with maths, and maths is basically painting by numbers. The maths that you explain, given your perception, is subject to the curve being there in the first place for the maths to be validated. Even if the maths were right, you still got to prove that curve, even if your maths is right.
But fractal looming is a very complex thing, you know, so it's going to take some while.
Well, let me ask you a real quick question. So, if we're looking out, and we're observing the Isle of Man or Elsa Craig or whatever, and we see certain phenomena, I don't really think we're going to parse out all of the four aspects of temperature and density and all this kind of stuff. I think for me, it seems like when we parse out those four issues, that's having to address it from a global perspective. Like, this is how we can see it on a globe. But if we're looking at it as flat earthers, we're just making note of the fact that there's mirage.
Correct.
That's just what it is. We don't really sweat it out and go, well, what about the density? What about the temperature? What about no, we just that's just what it is.
And there also comes a point where you logically and reasonably have to come to the conclusion that if you have to do 4, 5, 6 complicated sums to get yourself round this, you have to consider the possibility that Occam's razor may actually be applicable, because there comes a point where it becomes that remote that it's not likely to be the explanation, when there is one simple explanation that requires no observations, no mathematics, no conclusions, no measurements, no formulas, no arithmetic, no algebra. The Earth's just flat and you see it because it's there.
Yep. Long distance, straight line of sight.
Yep.
It's the simplest of explanations.
Over and over and over again, it's consistent. As visibility increases, you see stuff. As visibility decreases, you don't see stuff.
So, back to Alan's model. We railroaded his point. He had this model that's sat next to him that he was going to compare and give us some data from, because he thinks he's got a working one.
Nathan, we did that on purpose, though. You know he's not going to answer you, right?
Yeah. But it's fun, though, isn't it? To poke them, point out they haven't got a model. No model, no globe, right, guys? Right?
Stop poking the old guy. Come on.
Switzerland, Alan.
Okay, audience members who believe the Earth is a sphere, you don't have a model. So you can't possibly have a sphere by that standard, right? No model, no globe.
To be fair, Nathan, they do have a model, just not a working one.
Well, correct. That's the same as not having one. I've got a blancmange here. That makes the Earth flat. It's not a working flat Earth model. It's a blancmange. But I'm going to call it a model, therefore flat Earth, right? No. If they haven't got a working model, they haven't got a model.
Mark
No model,
Alan
no
says,
globe.
why don't any of you flat-tards mention the fact that the picture you're talking about is from a video which shows the skyline moving up and down? What you mean, like Skunk Bay, Alan, that shows that, Mark Allen, that shows that refraction bends like up as well as down? Is that what you mean? Because they all ignore that. So I'm happy to point that out to everybody. Yeah, it's part of a picture from a video that shows the horizon moving up and down. Well, isn't that showing that light bends up and down? Oops.
Can you just display me a second, Nathan? Because
have you got your clothes on?
Yeah,
What is it? It's a truffle.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the gravitational flux. Apparently,
The testicle.
The testicle. Yeah, exactly. So I have this troll that keeps appearing on my channel that keeps saying that this is proof of what we're seeing. So essentially, that I must live in a place where it either has less or more density. Which would you say it would be? So there's more gravitational force. But anyway, the point is that that is what the Earth should look like then, with water over the top of it. Pretty much.
No, that's not what they're saying. You're kind of misrepresenting that argument a bit. They're saying that this is the gravitational fields that are surrounding the almost perfect sphere.
So how do you get flat land, flat oceans then?
You don't.
It would have to conform to, yeah, so it has to, that's what I'm saying. So it has
Why
to
are the
conform to
gravitational fields so incredibly low on India specifically? That is weird. Where is that coming from?
Let me give a shout out to my friend. He
This is
moved
just
house
nonsense.
from the west coast of America to the east coast near New York, and he travelled. I think it was 13 degrees of the rotation of the Earth, the curvature of the Earth. And on that journey, in the van, while he was moving all his stuff, he had his compass going, his thingy on his phone, and it didn't show any rotation whatsoever.
Right. Is this anything to do with this gravitational thing? I don't think it is it?
Well, Nathan just said that you misrepresented it, and he's right, but it's not.
Well, I don't think I have. I don't think I have, because what they're saying is that the reason that people like whoever's in South Africa, what's that guy in South Africa? Is it Wolfie? Wolfie, whatever. He can apparently show curvature, whereas I can go to Barrow and I can always see flat, right? And they say that's due to this gravitational testicle, right? So what they're saying is that I should have plenty of flat water in my area, and Wolfie must have lots of curve. Well, how does that happen with gravity on this testicle? And what would it look like? What would it look like with water on it?
I think this is a combined model concept where basically the red areas have more gravity there. So they conclude, okay, because it has more gravity there, there must be more material between the center point of the Earth and that location. So that is how they model it. It's completely ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous.
So,
this is the biggest load of nonsense I've seen ever.
I'm just wondering where they get these measurements. Like, really? Is there a difference in downward force acceleration? Do you feel lighter when you go to India? Do you feel heavier when you go to Indonesia?
Of course, that's slightly.
Yeah, but they are actually measuring magnetism. I think the machine is called a gravitometer. If I've said that wrong, I'm sorry.
Gravimeter.
Yeah, gravimeter. And it's measuring magnetic fields. You know, they call it gravity.
Yeah, but magnetic fields, they only apply to metals,
right?
Not to all things. That's not gravity, not even officially.
Yeah, but do you honestly
think
that...
Should be applied to all matter.
Do you think that matter attracts itself, Arwin?
No, the theory of gravitational pull has that assumption. So this gravimeter, if they admit that it just is measured by magnetics, then it doesn't actually measure gravitational pull in any way.
So this
by their own theory.
The instrument itself's got
the flatness that I'm seeing.
The instrument itself's got a whacking great magnet in it.
Okay, doesn't necessarily prove that it is measuring magnetics, but I don't understand how this machine works.
Either way, I don't. I've had it mentioned to me a couple of times, but we're off track. This testicle Earth on screen, this is just nonsense, right?
So how can I be seeing flat when NASA show us images of a round Earth?
That's where I think you're misrepresenting them. So they've done a graphic depiction of what the fields would look like if you extended out them visually, but they're just showing more field strength in that area and exaggerating it graphically. They're not. Whoever's made this, I don't think whoever made this would ever assert that that's the shape.
It is backed up because there has to be more matter there to actually cause this increase in gravitational pull.
Right.
So
I think they've evened out the density.
They are probably suggesting this is literal because of that.
So
it's very bizarre.
They've evened out the density. So the more dense areas, if they're going to claim that a greater density will cause a greater gravitational pull, they've evened it out so that what we see in front of us has got even density, but the lighter areas are represented by lesser or lower density, and the darker areas which are sticking out more represent higher density. But as a whole, if you even it out so that they're all kind of roughly the same, it gives this irregular shape. But I don't think anyone who has made this, or anybody ever, would claim that this is the actual shape, unless you're a retard troll trying to say that you've got a flat of water in our neck of the woods, because that's just simply ludicrous. Anyway, it was an interesting picture, laughable. I don't know how many people actually think they live on that.
Michael MW up. He wasn't with the last conversation. We just said that we'd wake him up when we're done. So give him a prod.
That's not.
Who are we prodding? Michael MW.
Mr. Michael MW said, "What did he say?
Who muted me?
Your phone was ringing in the background."
Oh, you could have unmuted me.
Can't.
No, I couldn't.
No one can unmute people. You can only mute them.
Why? Were you chatting away to yourself?
Yeah, I was.
Could you imagine if you
could? I was trying to say, how is
this
moron
Jay,
that keeps
can you hear
coming
us?
onto my channel saying that this is the reason I'm seeing flatness on my water?
Jay?
I've already booted him. You were talking. Sorry. Didn't want to risk it. Can't be bothered setting up another hangout. You need to say hello, not go on mute if you want to join the hangout.
Oh, he went on mute, did he?
Yeah, that tends to be the routine. If they're going to, some people who I know, like Jazz, he's doing it and just too drunk to be able to figure it out in time.
Shout out to Jazz.
We were just saying, Ranty, is when you disappeared for a second, that I think what they've done is they've sort of the more dense areas, if you want to call them that, or the more gravitationally dense, however it's phrased, areas, they've sort of evened out pictorially so that it's all kind of the same level, but then they've used a colour to represent greater density or greater gravitational force or whatever it is that they're measuring, and then that's why you end up with a depiction that's that shape. But I don't think anybody who's got half a brain would ever assert that is actually the shape.
Slow day today, Nathan, at the shop. No ballers playing around.
When you open your show by
I'm going to put myself out on the line and ask.
Go on, Plain Truth.
I'm just going to say I'm going to put myself out on the line and try to flesh out something that I've thought about. In the heliocentric model, the great equalizer is scale. So we can't feel the centrifuge because of scale. We can't detect the curve because of scale. It's all too big to detect. And so when we acquiesce to a certain degree and give the platform to the globals who want to apply their principles, I don't. In my mind, there's a hiccup for me when we talk about the angular reduction. So we're talking about size reduction in distance. Okay. So I was thinking about was not only do we have size reduction, okay, because it's going over a curve, or if it is, not only do we have size reduction, but we also have to have an obtuse angle. Now, they will then also say you can't detect that because it's just.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Conceptually, one degree. I think that's been. Even think about 106 by 6 guys that on a curve. That is a huge angle. It's a huge angle, and it's like 15 degrees.
It's a good point. I was thinking about it after yesterday's show. The chap that was working out the calculation to give you the angular size was like, well, if you're going to work that out on a globe, you've also got to do an arctangent measurement. Well, how are you supposed to triangulate anything to give you an angular size if you can't take a straight line of sight to it? And they can't. If you're on a sphere and you're measuring, for a start, most of this stuff is a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena anomaly. So they're going to start taking straight line of sight measurements to these things. That was the one thing we did achieve on Steve's show. You know, got them in a corner. Well, I won't take credits. Absolutely not, actually. Chris Monk got them in a corner by pointing out as soon as they make a straight line measurement, they set the horizon at 0 and then take a straight line to Snaefell. Just by doing that measurement, they're proving a flat Earth. They've triangulated it on a flat plane. So they quickly all scurry away and get in the back chat and put their heads together and then come out with an arc calculation. So how are you supposed to get, if you can see something in a camera, an angular size if you're using an arc measurement? You can't triangulate it to get an accurate arc calculation. It just does. None of it makes any sense. You know, these are flaws that when people come up and say, "Here you go, this is how I calculate how far." The radius, i.e., the radius of the thing you're measuring, the angle of the thing in the distance. When the thing that they've got to perform to actually do that basically assumes a flat plane to begin with. They've got to assume they're doing it with a triangle, with straight lines, i.e. not arc calculations, which is what they did when we cornered them in Steve's debate. Again, I won't take credit. Not we. Chris Monk cornered them in Steve's debate. So yeah, we're going to have to see these angular size reduction measurements the globe has come up with if they're going to fix their calculator, including an arctangent measurement.
Right, and if you think about it too, when you're talking about the Chicago skyline, we see it at 90 degrees. So it came back up over the curve, but we should have seen it at an arc. We should have seen it angling away from us because that's what it's really doing.
Right.
But we don't. We see it at 90 degrees. But you and I both know that's the reason why we're seeing it at 90 degrees is because it's still level.
Yeah, because it's flat as a pancake. You know, all the stuff that looms up and looks perfectly in scale at 30 miles plus with the Isle of Man. And why is all this in scale? Why does it all look so perfect even though we're looking down the line of an island that's getting further and further away from us? Why is it all proportionately perfect every time you see it? None of this backs veracity in the slightest. You know, what it does back is a flat plane.
It also backs the fact that the maths is selective when it doesn't support their position. They just turn a blind eye to it, and then if it gets pointed out by somebody that is better at maths, then all of a sudden, scurry, scratch, scratch, and then out comes an answer. Sounds plausible, credible. Rumpus has said it. Praise Rumpus.
Yeah, in the meantime, Alan's not going to acknowledge it. He's going to tell us that his model, full black model, is the one in his corner of his room, rather than accept that they don't have a model. One minor flaw in anything that's ever been presented by a flat earther, not that I endorse models, but on behalf of the ones that do, minor details, minor flaws. Well, that's not a working model. Ha ha ha. You haven't got a working model. Well, now we're shoes on the other foot now, lads. Globe heads. You know, Gem Panda, Rumpus, challenge 1 and 2 from yesterday. Where's your model? Why haven't you come on and debunked Ranty's obvious and observable proof of a flat earth? Where's these globeheads debunking us? Links public. Anyone's welcome to join. Yet Ranty's presenting slam dunk evidence after slam dunk evidence of a flat plane. No one's challenging us? You got no model to back up your assertions, lads? Pretty sad. Pretty sad that the flat earth's winning.
And just to respond to Mark Elaine in chat, he says, maths is not selective, Riley. It's definite. It's not the maths that's selective. It's the people that should be reciting it. You know, ballers turn a blind eye to stuff when it suits them. Seen it before. We'll be seeing it again. Saw it with the perspective on the Earth curve calculator from Metabunk. When they realised that we shouldn't be putting in the full height of the object, the target object, it should be reduced because of perspective. And they don't tell us that that's something that we need to have spotted, or that they should have told us if we didn't spot it, or that Mick should have put a disclaimer on his website for. Do you see how that's selective?
As for Lenny Harry, the link is public, saying you're stepping out of your circle, jerk. Come and challenge me right now. You don't have a model. You got nothing.
Come on, Lenny, you pussy. Get yourself in here. Don't be a chicken.
Just come and explain Taboo Conspiracy's latest video. It's only 2 minutes long, and I'm sure you can all work it out. The horizon's not 1.2 miles away. It's like clearly more than 10. So Anyone explain why the Earth appears to be huge compared to what the curve calcs are supposed to be telling us? Oh, let me guess. Refraction.
No, they won't. They won't come in. They won't show the face. They're all pussies now.
They want to.
They don't have an argument. They don't have anything to bring.
Yeah, no one's got any proof of a globe because it's not a globe. It's obviously an observably flat. We're proving it time and time again. Anyone who comes in that's old, that's been here before, you know, for example, Jem Pandu doesn't acknowledge anything we even say to him from a live show while he's watching. Those guys, as soon as they land, will go, right, Jem, let's go back through some of your old evidence. Let's start with Josh and Newicki's image. Have you figured out how to beg the question with this one yet?
Shout out to Slight Nihilist. He's poking people on the panel, but he's got no subs. If you had more subs, we'd take your words seriously, but you've got no subs, so we'll ignore you.
And it's not to be abused by Nathan. It's if they're coming on with ridiculous arguments. If they brought something to the table, fair enough. But if they're not bringing anything, you're going to get exasperated with the same people coming in with the same poor arguments and no evidence.
Shout out to Jem Panda, who's got me blocked. Can't possibly work out why that might be, Jeremy. Is it because I've got evidence that shit's all over your model? Beliefs? Structures? Probably.
Yeah, there is no globe because they don't have
They're
a working
safe
model.
Space. You can't tell them why they are inevitably wrong because they can't handle it.
Why do subs matter? Because you're a troll if you haven't got subs. Duh.
Vane Veen says, can't get a guest on to abuse. Yeah, I do abuse you globeheads, don't I? You would think if you actually had some award-winning evidence, you'd be ramming it down my throat, shutting me right up, wouldn't you? Yeah, you'd want to shut me up if you had some good evidence. Yeah, the link's public. Anyone's free to come and join. Yeah, if you had something to actually present, I assure you, like in the old days when the show first started, panel was full of globers telling us about the equinox and telling us about the stars, telling us about how you go and measure this and that with these models. What you got now, lads? Me telling you with a free-for-all invitation to anybody who's watching to join, me telling you that you've got no model. You don't have anything. You've literally got nothing but a belief. It's not like you got a model that backs your belief. All you've got now is a religious belief in this thing. This globe, it's dead. We're stomping on it, and you've got nothing to come and even challenging it with, except to say that it's because I'm nasty. Yeah, you're damn right I am. I will abuse anybody who joins that asserts that it's a globe, because you've got no evidence. Bring some evidence that's good. Go on, Ranty.
Flat Earth Debate 271, you need to change it. The day the ball died.
What was on 271?
Every day the ball dies.
What was on 271?
Was never alive. It's just a dream.
What was on 271 though?
Debate, you should retitle it "The Day the Ball Died."
What specifically was on this show though? I don't get what your reference is. Why would it die today? I thought it died in 2015.
Well, it's dying right now. Nobody's willing to come on and...
It's never been alive. It's always been a ghost. It's been a dream.
We're teabagging it right now, Ranty. That's all we're doing. We're hovering over it, dangling our balls in its dead mouth.
Dude.
Teabagging the globe.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Alan, what are you doing?
Alan, can you stop that?
What?
You're playing music.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
What's
he did that.
playing?
He did that yesterday.
Has he done it to get you a strike, Nathan? Is it a copyrighted?
Jesus, you're paranoid.
Video.
Since when are you listening to hip hop, Alan?
I'm pretty sure that's copyrighted, so that you can copyright strike him.
Well,
why would it do that?
I don't think 2 or 3 scratchy bars of a ringtone is
going
to get me anything. I'm not too worried.
Well, I would be. I've seen copyright strikes for less.
Nah, come on.
All right, okay. Just saying.
Paranoid.
Why were you listening to that kind of music, Alan? It's not your music.
Do you decide what to listen to now?
Hey, Stephen. How you doing? Can you hear us?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Not bad. Good to have you.
Hey, good to have you too. Hey, I was thinking about you yesterday, actually, Nathan. I was listening as I was jumping from some channels. I ended up, I'm not sure how this happened, but I ended up on Red's channel, and they were talking about I don't know if you saw on the non sequitur show the other night. They had some flat earthers on there, and I was going to tell you these guys didn't really make us folk look very good.
Hey,
Hey, Preston, can you hear us?
Hey,
yeah, he
how y'all
spoke up.
doing?
Good to have you. Right, you go
Can
on.
you hear me
Stephen.
okay?
Yeah, we hear you good. You carry on, Stephen.
Hey, I just wanted to say I don't miss a show. I love it. It's like a part of my morning every morning. But I just wanted to say what phenomenal work that you guys are doing. Just being YouTubers and just going out and observing. I've learned a lot just watching y'all show, and I just wanted to thank y'all. And I wanted to highlight something that Jazzy Conda said earlier. It's probably one of the top 5 dumbest things I've ever heard a Glober say on this show.
Do you want to narrow it down a little bit?
Well, I mean, talking about the Jazz Conda guy that was on.
Yeah, he does say some dumb things.
Yeah. But anyway, I before I get sniped, I just wanted to say that for everybody out there that thinks that I'm crazy for being a flat earther, well, you ought to think the same way about your government. The National Reconnaissance Office uses a flat earth model. The Naval Research Laboratory uses a flat earth model.
Yep.
So if it's so dumb, you know, why do they use simulations to train pilots on a flat earth model? The software's flat.
You're not going to get sniped if you have views on the shape of the earth, dude.
Say again.
What do you mean?
You won't get sniped if you have views on the shape of the earth. That's the whole point of the show.
Well, every time I join, I usually get sniped. So I was trying to say my piece quickly.
You've just got to speak quick when you join. Yeah, that's all.
My bad. It's probably me. It's, you know, if there's a conversation going on and I say hello, it probably doesn't come through to the Hangout, so you don't know to reply. So the audience hears me saying it because my desk puts me in priority, but you won't hear it in the Hangout. I don't get a reply. So if it carries on, I just kick people who don't say hello. So it's just my fault. I'm really sorry. But one thing I will add to what Preston just said was that good timing, because I said to Ranty just before the show went live, basically I was blowing smoke up his ass and saying, you know, Ranty was saying, oh, you know, this person's great and they're really influential and they've done great work. And I agreed. I won't say who we were talking about, but I agreed and said, yeah, they're great and all well and good. But there's people, and now it's confirmed, like Preston, who go, you know, they're on the edge of their seat waiting for your evidence to be presented, Ranty. So, you know, I put you on a bit of a pedestal with good reason. Same goes for, you know, Mark Doxey and Anthony and Arwin and all these guys. Because, you know, like he says, they're waiting to see what we've got to present, and it's mostly you guys presenting it.
Whereas I know Ranty on a personal level, and I know he's a bit of a knob. Sorry, I'm only joking.
We hijacked Stephen. Sorry, Ranty. I know you want to get some words in, but Stephen was halfway through making a point when Preston joined.
Yeah. I was saying was, did you guys? I was flipping through some YouTube channels or whatever, and I was listening to that. I guess it was something about, you know, Reds or them guys, because it was on the non secular show before with a bunch of flat earthers. Did you happen to check that out?
Yeah, I saw some of it.
Yeah, I didn't catch it all, but I saw some of it too, and it looked like a debate out of hell. I kind of would have liked to have seen you and maybe one of the other guys on the panel on there. Probably would have won a lot better. But I think if somebody was looking to get into flat Earth and was to see that, it would have looked pretty disastrous for.
Yeah, but the problem with the non sequitur show is that the guy's totally biased. I mean, me, Nathan,
True.
and
I agree.
Went on. We spent an hour in there, and in that time, no evidence. They did not consider the claim of the evidence whatsoever. But somehow, after an hour, it was declared that the evidence was invalid, and Rumpus had won, and there was no consultation or like challenge of the evidence, reference to the evidence, discussion of the evidence at all. Somehow, Rumpus won. So I just thought, well, if that's the position, then, you know, there's no point in being here. So I just said, thanks for your time, guys. I'm out of here, and left.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, I didn't like that. Okay, if you go there thinking that you're debating with two people, like if you have you and your buddy and you go with someone else, all of a sudden it's all four of them. There's no need for Steve or this Kyle guy or anybody else to jump in if you're only supposed to. You know what I mean? It's like you're debating, all of a sudden it's like 4-on-1. Not that that really matters, I guess, but I'm just saying that it is pretty biased, I thought myself.
Yeah,
I'm
it does
not
kind
gonna
of
lie.
matter because they will not enable you to actually reply to anything. They give you like
Right.
half a
That's
second
true.
and then they speak over you again. So yeah,
Yeah.
we
And yeah, 'cause
sometimes do that a little bit here too, but we at least give the ballers a few seconds to make it obvious that they're not answering the question.
You telling me I've
right,
not
that's
given
true.
So they get,
Rumpus 20-minute intervals to give his presentations, sometimes 25 minutes solid? I have.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but you know the thing I like is the Aries failure. I don't hear that used enough in debates. You remember that one, Aries failure, where they by means of a water-filled telescope, Airy in 1871 looked for change in stellar, aberration through the refraction of the water due to either to the ether drag.
Yeah, they argue that it's a misrepresentation and nobody can prove one or the other. It clearly states that the conclusion of Airy's failure was that it failed to prove the rotation of the Earth.
Right.
But they interpret that to mean the opposite. They say, no, it was a stellar aberration test and it failed to prove the stellar aberration. But if you actually read what it actually said, then there's no debate. But ballers just simply refuse to accept it.
Oh. Yeah. So I guess if you're like an ostrich with your head stuck in the ground, you're not going to get it. You can't. They're not going to go anywhere one way or the other. Then. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Um, so going on that non-sequitur show then is a waste of time. I almost thought about trying to join that once, but then when I saw how biased it was, I was like, man, I don't know.
Well, they're welcome to come on this channel anytime, I suppose.
Yeah, they probably won't do that.
No, they can't control the platform.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Let me ask a question about Airy's failure real quick because I've thought about it, and it to me, what I've heard the explanation was he was trying to measure the amount of starlight entering the tube, but isn't it more of simply measuring the reflection of the starlight in the tube? Because how would you know the light that was coming in is from the star? Is my question clear?
Yeah, if I remember correctly from.
I lost the whole panel. Hello? Anyone hear me?
Hello?
So my whole panel gets booted, but you get to stay, do you, Alan? Why is
No,
that?
I didn't decide.
Just a funny coincidence. How long have we got left on this show? Let's have a look. 48 minutes. I hadn't actually planned on doing a second show. I had planned to keep it to just one today because I'm not feeling very well. So I think I might actually round out this show a little bit early with that sniper joining. So let's get my little light on. With that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for joining and making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, and I'm sure you already know what to do, but if you like the show, maybe consider subscribing if you've not done so already, or sharing it with a friend. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!